Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast, the one and only working class podcast. We're the blue collar ballers, John and DJ. Check us out on our Facebook page at Armchair Fantasy Football, on Twitter at Armchair FF Pod. I'm on Twitter at Armchair Kingpin. John is on Twitter at John2977. Email us at armchairfb@gmail.com. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Podbean, as well as our videos on YouTube. Just search Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. And today, guys, we got a little fun episode. We're going to do fantasy football. And there's a lot of guys this season that may end up getting traded. There's some guys that are in contract years. And John and I are going to kind of buzz through those names and talk about where we would like to see them, where we think they'll go, kind of a mixture of the two. And try to predict the future. We're going to try to get into the crystal ball, so to speak, and kind of talk about where we think these guys should go, where they might go. But, and we got a new segment too. It's called Fantasy Phone a Friend, and we're gonna just randomly call members of our league mates, and surprise them with a Armchair Fantasy Football phone call, and talk about fantasy for about 5 minutes, or unless it's Jake, like 10-15 minutes. But before we do all that stuff, we're gonna get into the news, and I guess we should talk about last night's game as well.
Okay, news. We'll start off with the kind of big news, I guess, how you want, depending on you looking at it. NFL clubs were informed today that a private workout will be held for Colin Kaepernick on Saturday in Atlanta. The session will include on-field workouts as well as an interview. All clubs are invited.
Do we know who is going?
No. Just all clubs are invited.
Who do you think will go?
Cincinnati. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks that are, I think, in desperate need. Washington could be another one. Case Keenum. I mean, depends what they're looking at. But you would think that I don't know.
I don't think anybody's going to go. Anybody of substance. I think, unfortunately, Colin Kaepernick, for whatever reason, right, wrong, or indifferent, has got himself into a situation that all indications are that he's blackballed. I think teams that should go are teams like the Dolphins, teams like, as you mentioned, the Bengals. It wouldn't be a bad idea for teams like even teams like the Titans. I mean,
how about the Steelers?
The Bears are another team. The Steelers would be an excellent team. These are teams that should go. Whether or not they do, I don't know. I think the Steelers are probably the most likely, given that Mason Rudolph is the worst quarterback in the history.
That's why I said it, because you knew where I was going
in the history of the universe. So.
Okay, so we'll wait and see. That's going to happen this Saturday, so stay tuned for any news to that. But I don't think anything. Teams would have already reached out to him.
Drinking my iced coffee as it's snowing in Maine.
Yeah, and I'm bundled up like an Eskimo during this pod too.
The Armchair Studios are lacking heat right now.
Yes. Chris Herndon to IR. Short season for him. Comes back from IR, right, goes back on IR.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. He's irrelevant.
Yeah.
He gone. Emmanuel Sanders got hurt last night, has a rib issue, but is considered day-to-day, so that's good news.
Yeah, that's great news. What isn't good news is that he totally screwed me, and so did Matt Breida. I start 2 guys on San Francisco, and they both get hurt. And I have a 3rd guy on San Francisco, George Kittle, that didn't play because he was hurt. Luckily, I had Mark Andrews, but I still lost because Emmanuel Sanders was tearing it up, dude.
He was. So Matt Breida on the Matt Breida on the other hand, Mr. Injury Prone.
That guy's another ankle. I mean, this guy.
It's his ankles. He's the worst ankles in the world. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Week 11 is in jeopardy, and he may miss more time after that as well.
He's just a bum.
James Conner got in another full practice today, so he's trending towards playing, like a good chance of playing. Tyler Lockett got hurt last night, was brought to the hospital based on his leg swelling, but he should be okay to play. It's looking good right now, actually.
Cool.
Brandon Cooks, though, on the other hand, not. He has already been ruled out for Week 11.
Not good, man.
And hanging with Austin Hooper, he won't be hanging with anybody but a chair because he'll have his leg up.
A chair?
Yes. because he'll be sitting down. Austin Hooper has been diagnosed with a sprained MCL.
That was a reach, man.
He'll be sitting. He won't be.
So what's wrong with him?
Sprained MCL, so that's anywhere from like a 3 to 5 week.
That's a shame. Oh, that's a shame. Sorry, Jake.
Sorry, Jake. How about Aaron, who traded you as backup tight end to you?
I know. Well, he traded OJ Howard's like my third tight end now. I told him I'd trade him back to him. I told him. Maybe I'll text him again.
So that's it for news.
Maybe Aaron's the guy we called today. Who knows?
Do you want to do that right now? Just get it out of the way.
No, I'm not ready for that. Was that it for the news?
That's it. News was short and sweet today.
All right, you want me to call Aaron?
Whoever you will.
So we're gonna call Aaron. His name's Aaron Ryan. It is a he, and it's Aaron with an E. It's Aaron Erin. I know that's weird, but he's still a good dude. Don't worry about it. So let's call him. Fantasy phone a friend. Well, these guys are all too busy. They don't answer us. Big shots. They're all big shots. If Aaron doesn't answer, we move on to Ernie. Ernie will answer. He's loyal. Is Aaron not going to answer us? He knows what's coming, bro.
Wait for the voicemail.
Do 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 do.
Hey, this is Aaron.
What a loser. The next person that doesn't answer, I'm giving their phone number out to our listeners.
You guys can call him 100 times.
Yeah, let's go for
Maybe
it.
they'll pick up then.
Ernie, you're next. I guarantee you Ernie answers. Guarantee it. Here we go. Ernie Dorr, the third. I think it's the third. He's going to answer it, Noah. Come on, Ernie, don't let us down.
Is he coaching them?
No, not now. He coaches with me. Season hasn't started yet. You get to pick the next one. And then we. Oh, geez, Ernie. All right, who is it now? One more. See if the Armchair Fantasy Football League can represent and answer their phone. What do you think?
We gotta find somebody. This isn't. I didn't think anybody.
We just call Jake again.
No, we are not calling Jake. Let's go with.
We got Aaron. No, Aaron and Ernie. We lost those guys.
What about Alex?
Alex Keyroll?
He might be working though. Usually a late shift guy.
Let's give him a shot. If not, we struck out this week on Fantasy Phone a Friend, and we want to surprise these guys. The problem is nobody answers their phone anymore.
Phil might be out of work.
Yeah, we're going with Alex, and if it's not Alex, then it's bust for this week. Come on, Alex. Fantasy Phone a Friend. If they call back, then we'll answer. This is the epidemic of the millennial culture, though. Like, oh my god. If I text these guys, they would, like, respond immediately, but nobody answers their phone. Alright, we tried for this week, John, and again, if they do call back,
I guess
we will answer. If you call,
yeah, Fantasy Phone a Friend is a work in progress.
Watch this. Call me ASAP. It's urgent.
Oh, it's a trap. Isn't that from Star Wars? It's a trap.
All right, so let's get into it, John.
So last night's game.
That's right. I don't really want to talk about it.
Seattle Seahawks, like I told you,
obligated.
I had a feeling about this one. The undefeated season for the 49ers is gone. Could have been a different game with Kittle in there. The 49ers lose this game 27-24. They dropped to 8-1, and the Seahawks improved to 8-2. Russell Wilson, not a great game, but not a horrible game. Managed to do okay here. 24-34 for 232 yards, a TD and an interception. And he also had 6 carries for 53 yards. Chris Carson carried the ball 25 times for 89 yards, but got a TD. And he also had 3 catches for 12 yards.
3.6 yards per carry. And we neglected to mention last week he fumbled the ball again.
But Penny, on 2 carries, had 2 yards, and one of those was a fumble.
Penny should be on our list for guys that are going to be on a different team next year.
He could.
There's no reason to keep him around. They just do not utilize him. They continue to utilize Chris Carson, who is an efficiency vacuum.
Josh Gordon's debut. I believe he played about 28 snaps here. He only had 2 targets, 2 receptions for 27 yards.
Which is to be expected.
Tyler Lockett, 4 targets, 3 catches, 26 yards. DK Metcalf was the winner of the night.
Yeah.
10 targets, 6 receptions for 70 yards, but Jacob Hollister, 10 targets, 8 receptions,
yeah, so are
yards
you,
and a TD.
is Hollister officially a thing? Because I thought that Ed Dixon might be a problem for him, but
Irrelevant he
definitely
was.
not. No.
I think Hollister can actually be picked up in the waiver wire. It's
Yeah.
2 straight weeks of usage, and it's good usage.
Yeah.
Wilson seems to like his tight ends, except for Luke Wilson.
Is Jacob Hollister the New England tight end that
Yes.
you were touting this year? Or is that, was
No,
that somebody
no,
else?
no.
It was some other schmuck.
Matt Lacoste.
But he was on New England, Hollister.
Yes, Hollister was a New Englander.
Yeah.
He went to...
So the big takeaways here is Deebo Samuel, I'm telling you, this guy is uber talented, and if for whatever reason San Francisco completely loses the injury lottery and Burita, Sanders, and Kittle are out, Deebo Samuel's going to feast. He's just super talented. I'm glad that he's doing it. I have added and dropped him a good 3 or 4 times in our keeper league. I wish there was some more consistency there, but he's definitely he's one of those guys like DJ Moore that we talked about, like Andy Isabella that we talked about. He's going to be a star in this league, just not quite yet. Tevin Coleman, just like you mentioned, John, not a lot of usage there. Burita had 10 carries. He got hurt, only 1.8 yards per carry. He has not been efficient lately, and I think it's because of that ankle that's nagging him. Even if he's healthy this week, I wouldn't start him. And
I think Breida never gets fully healthy. That's why he always gets hurt.
Yeah.
I think they say, high ankle sprain for Breida. He's back on the field.
And that's why
he gets hurt again.
And he's very talented, but that's why, unfortunately, you're never going to see him as the lead back there because they just know he's not durable enough. Kind of an ugly game stat-wise here, and the guys that really popped weren't the guys that you expected to, but a lot of injuries in this game as well. John, that was my big takeaway here. You had the Tyler Lockett injury. You had, obviously, Burita, like we mentioned, and, of course, Emmanuel Sanders. And then Kittle didn't even make it to the field. He was ruled out right before the game. So hopefully the fact that Kittle was ruled out that late, John, would be indicative of him starting.
He was close. I would say
week.
he was very close.
But, yeah, I think he'll be out there.
But who knows? This game could have been different with Kittle, though, too. We don't know that. But I don't think we're going to look back on this. I don't think even San Fran's going to look back on this.
No.
So.
What do you mean by that?
This game's not going to bother them. They're going to move on.
Yeah, it's a loss, which is unfortunate, but they're still in the driver's seat in terms of having the first seed and stuff like that. They just need to get it right, and Jimmy Garoppolo needs to determine whether or not he's a good quarterback or a bad quarterback, or he's going to end up on this list.
His throws were just awful.
He overthrew.
He underthrew. He overthrew.
Yeah.
Wide left, wide right. Wait,
Yeah.
are we making fun of the kicker too?
Right.
But yeah, that game is in a nutshell. So we'll move on to.
We're going to move on to maybe next year is the name of this segment. And I think some of these players, John, would benefit from a change of scenery. Some of them might just be too expensive for the team that they're on. Some of them, the team might get buyer's remorse and want to trade them. So it's always kind of fun to predict or guess or have fun with where we think these guys, and play a little bit of fantasy GM and put a fantasy football spin on it, right? He's nodding his head, but
Yes.
you can't see that.
Sorry, video sees it, but you guys don't see it.
So we're going to start with the guy, the elephant in the room that everybody was talking about a couple of weeks ago. This guy is in a contract year. He cannot be franchised. The language in his contract was put in specifically so he could not be franchised. And he is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. And his name is Tom Brady. So I'm going to let you chime in and start this off, John. You're going to kick it off. Where do you think or would like to see Tom Brady next year? My guess would be you want to see him in New England.
Yes, I would like to see.
But we could have a little fun with it too. But what's your team for Tom Brady next year?
I think he stays with the Pats. I think he started his career. I think he ends his career with the Pats. I know there's a lot of speculation of him selling his home. I think he's also thinking of the future by him selling his home. It's not necessarily he moves and goes away, but things could change for Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's going to win the Super Bowl this year, but if he won a Super Bowl, he could retire. So, I think he's just playing year by year now, and I think he stays a Patriot. I don't think he goes against the Pats, but there's that speculation in the back of my head that it could happen.
Boy, would the NFL love that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'd be printing
It'd
money.
be a field day.
Yeah.
I think a team, if he doesn't go with the Pats, honestly, deep down,
You got to pick one team. So is it New England?
I think it's New England.
You can't waffle here.
New England.
So I think next year, I can tell you where I think he'll be, but I like to have more fun with it. Where I'd like to see him go, and he wouldn't be the only piece added to this team. I'd like to see him stay in the the AFC. And I think Tom Brady seems to me, and I don't know this person personally. I think a lot of analysts and a lot of fantasy analysts and a lot of fans like to talk about who Tom Brady is. None of us really know. He's a pretty private guy. He has avocado steroids. He kind of gets a little whiny when he loses, but he's a competitor. And at the root of that is probably ego, but his competitive nature, John, we always talk about what if, and that'll probably be a theme of one of our Wednesday episodes pretty soon. What if? That just occurred to me that would be cool. But what if I retire and all they ever say is that I was a system quarterback and Bill Belichick was the reason for my success? And as crazy as that sounds, for that to cross Tom Brady's mind, there's a lot of people that say that, John. Still, to this day, that Tom Brady's success is hinged upon Bill Belichick. And I think he's very aware of that. And I think internally, he would love to go to another team that has some good stuff built in, that has what's proving to be a good defense when healthy, that has a really reliable receiver, a really good tight end, and they're in the AFC and they can compete with New England. I think it's time for Phillip Rivers to move on. I think the LA Chargers, John, are realizing that Rivers is just not going to get them there. Rivers is in a contract year. I would love to see Tom Brady go to the LA Chargers where he can play with Keenan Allen, where he can play with Hunter Henry, Mike Williams. Think about these. These are weapons that
he's never
New
had.
England really hasn't given to him in a long time.
Moss is the closest.
It was Moss and Welker was the last time he really had, and Gronk, a bevy of targets that he could throw to and not have to throw to the running backs all the time and do these little, dink and dunk stuff. He could go there, have fun with these weapons, and he would not be the only addition to that team, John. And we'll talk about that later on. Because there's another guy that I'd like to see there that I think this team would have to spend a lot to get Brady. And I think Melvin Gordon's on the way out. And I think there's a guy that wouldn't cost that much money that's on the way in. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So for me, Tom Brady, LA Chargers. For you, Tom Brady, New England Patriots. Fair enough. Let's move on to Derrick Henry, John. Derrick Henry has proven that he is a legit player in this league, that he is a legit running back, that he is capable of being the workhorse back. And it didn't really happen, John, until Tennessee stopped splitting the backfield with him. They finally handed the keys to the car to Derrick Henry, and he's not the most efficient guy in the world all the time, but he's getting it done. Dude is, you watch him on the field, John, he's a monster among children. He's a beast. He looks like a linebacker out there playing running back, but I don't think he's on the Titans next
He
year.
reminds me of Brandon Jacobs.
He does, but better. I think he's better than Jacobs.
No, faster.
But Jacobs was a giant too. I think Derrick Henry is going to move on. He is in a contract year. I do not think, and we're going to talk about this guy later on, I do not think that the New York Jets are going to retain Le'Veon Bell. I think he will be traded. I think there's going to be a void that needs to be replaced there. I think Derrick Henry is a very physical back that can withstand He's a different type of back. He's not Le'Veon Bell. He doesn't need a little bit of time to see the hole. He doesn't need He doesn't need to be patient. He can just run forward and run people over and truck them. So I think he would withstand this paltry offensive line in New York. And I think they're still rebuilding. And he would save them a lot of money too. So I think Derrick Henry would be a great fit for the New York Jets.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I think here's a team that has...
By the way, everybody can't go to the Patriots. I just want to be clear about that right out of the gate.
No. Only got up for a couple.
Yeah, of course.
My thoughts here is I think Derrick Henry would be a great fit in Atlanta. They could never establish a run. They've never had a solid ground and pound back. It's always been these glitchy scat backs.
Yep.
Derrick Henry in Atlanta would open up that pass game more than ever. They don't need him to catch a lot of receptions, nor does he.
Yeah.
So if you have that ground and pound back here, the play action would set up perfect for Matt Ryan. Julio would feast, Ridley would feast, Hooper would feast, and Derrick Henry would feast here. I
like that. Can I change my time?
I think Derrick Henry in Atlanta could bring them to the whole next level on offense. As for defense, Derrick Henry, the only thing he can do here is keep the other team's offense off the field.
He could play linebacker on defense.
It does help the defense though, because the more he...
Well, it helps the team. I think we agree that Devonta Freeman, I think his time is up. He is an oldish back. He's nearing 30.
And look at their backups: Brian Hill, Ito, or Ish Smith. In my
those
case.
Guys are trash.
Yes,
they're not good players.
This team needs that ground and pound back. They don't even need somebody to catch passes out of the back. It would be nice, but I think Derrick Henry in Atlanta makes so much sense.
Yep.
And Arthur Blank, checkbook's open. You know him.
Blank check.
Blank check. Yeah. So
I think that's a great fit. I like it.
So
moving on, we've all experienced the dating world. We've all dated, right, John?
Yes.
And sometimes you date people that are a good fit. Sometimes you date people that you're just having fun with. Sometimes you date people because it's a blind date. And sometimes you just find the one. Right, John? I definitely found the one. Right. Yeah. My wife Alicia has got to be the one.
I was going to say, I hope you're referring to her.
She deals with me. So. And Amari Cooper found the one, John, when he went to the Dallas Cowboys. When the Dallas traded a first-round pick to get him, which everybody laughed at. They said they were giving up way too much. And he has rewarded them with that, I guess, confidence in him that Dallas showed with being a stud receiver for them. I think Dak Prescott is not going to get an extension, and I think it's because Amari Cooper is. And I can't think of a bet. Why would Amari want to go anywhere else? He has got everything that he needs in Dallas. I think he wants to be there. I think they want him there. I think they will strike up a deal, and I think it will be at the expense of a deal for Dak Prescott because, let's face it, Dak can beat bad teams, but he can't beat good teams. I mean, if you look at their record, the teams that he's lost to are teams that are good teams. So why waste money on a guy that probably isn't the future? As much as I would love for him to be the future, why not spend money on Amari Cooper and build a good foundation for the next guy? And they don't need to pay Dak this year either. That's the other piece of it. So I think Amari Cooper stays in Dallas next year. I know you probably disagree with that.
No, I mean, you said pick where I think he might go, or where I think he goes to Detroit.
I don't think they need him.
No, but I think Marvin Jones.
They got Marvin and Kenny.
Marvin Jones gets paid handsomely. Galladay, I think, has 1 year left on his rookie contract. I think they're going to look for insurance. Amendola will be gone. I think Amari Cooper with the Lions, with a Matt Stafford throw him, can still be successful.
Just friggin' Matt Stafford with you.
I love Matt Stafford.
Why don't you just marry him, John?
I can't. But pending this all depends if Matt Stafford's around next year, based on his health.
Yeah, no kidding.
Wait and see a decision here. I don't know. I mean, I love Stafford, but between what happened to his wife having cancer, him with broken bones in the back, he could hang up the cleats early, and it's a shame. It must be a Detroit Lion thing. Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, I don't know what it is, but every Lion retires early. So,
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's the Lions, but call me biased.
I guess. All right, we're going to jump to Phillip Rivers. Are you prepared for that?
Okay,
a little
that's fine.
out of order to to fit my narrative. Sorry, I just went all Sir Royce on you guys.
Wow. I'm interested to see where you have him going.
So obviously, I don't have him in San Diego or LA. Sorry, but there is a team that really needs a veteran quarterback that has an excellent depth of talent on their offensive roster. They have an excellent number 1 wide receiver in Allen Robinson. They have an excellent number 2 receiver that just needs to be tapped into, I believe, in Anthony Miller, a very talented guy. David Montgomery, I think, is a very capable running back, and we haven't even scratched the surface on him. And I think Trey Burton's a better tight end than people give him credit for. I really think this is the type of team that Phillip Rivers is going to go to, and I especially would like to see, I think they want a veteran guy that can get them deep into the playoffs. I think they may think Phillip Rivers is that guy. There's another guy that we're going to talk about as well that could be that guy. But I think not only are they going to go after Phillip Rivers, I think he would be a great fit there in Chicago. And I think they're going to give him more than Allen Robinson. And that's the next guy we'll talk about. But what do you think about Phillip Rivers?
I think Phillip Rivers goes to the Redskins.
Ugh, poor guy.
I know.
You know what? They don't have that on a roster either.
They have guys.
But similar situation.
Yeah, similar situation here.
I think this is a Kurt Warner to the Cardinals type of situation.
I think Adrian Peterson's going to retire. Darius Geis becomes the premier back there. Let's be honest, Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed are done. Vernon Davis will probably retire. Jordan Reed will be forced to retire because of injury. They'll probably draft a tight end in the draft. But McLaurin needs a good quarterback.
McLovin.
Yeah. And Haskins is not ready yet, so I think he'd be like a mentor for Haskins.
Yep.
And I think that's why I think he'd be a good fit there. I have a receiver going there too. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, so I think we might be on the same page with this, but
it's not who you think it is.
No, okay.
You'll see though.
So for me, Phillip Rivers, Chicago Bears. For John, Phillip Rivers, Washington Redskins. All right, moving on. Allen Robinson, pretty good receiver, really good receiver. Phillip Rivers, pretty good quarterback, but that might not be enough, John, to put the Chicago Bears over the top and make them true contenders next year. If they only had another wide receiver that was an even better talent than Allen Robinson.
To complement him.
And they've got the cap space, John. These guys have cap space. I don't think Phillip Rivers is going to cost as much as people think. And there's a receiver out there that so desperately wants to win and be on a winning team and a team that's relevant. And he has yet to be able to do that in his career. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, starts with an O.
Odell Beckham Jr. to the Chicago Bears. Odell on one side, Allen Robinson on the other, Phillip Rivers throwing to him, David Montgomery, Monty Burns tearing it up in the backfield, and Anthony Miller is the best wide receiver 3 on the planet in all likelihood. That would be a contender. The Chicago Bears would finally be relevant. I'm saying Odell would be a great fit. Oh, hold please. Hold please. Hi, is this Aaron Ryan? How are you doing today? You can't, okay, yeah. We gotta let him know he can't swear. So, anyway.
Oh, stop!
Yeah. Chicago Bears, now they would be contenders, right? And the AFC would finally become, not the AFC, the NFC would finally become more relevant with yet another team at the top in that division, competing with the Packers. What a squad that would be. Here comes Aaron again. Hello? Please don't swear.
Because you're live.
Because you're live on the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. We have a new segment, and it's called Fantasy Phone a Friend. And you are our friend today. Thank you, by the way, for not answering my phone call when I called you the first time. That is unacceptable. That is very millennial of you to not answer the phone.
That's a good excuse. He's in a dentist chair.
All right.
I'll defend him on that one.
I was literally getting a dental cleaning.
So how was it? Was it good for you?
It was fine. It was acceptable.
Yeah. So you beat me this week, by the way.
I did.
You basically needed my entire team to get injured, but you did it, and your squad showed up, man. How does it feel to actually beat me again, twice this year?
Yeah, no, it's a happy day. Any
Yeah.
day that we can beat DJ Mark.
Yeah, I
That's
guess.
kind of the goal of the league is to beat DJ.
Well, in that particular
Wow,
league,
yeah, I'm the one who has a target on my back. Do you guys just hear what Aaron said?
well, yeah. In that particular league, it's not hard this year, Aaron, with my stud roster of all-pro losers that I have. I have one of the best rosters I've ever had in my life.
Aaron's actually doing really well in Dynasty as well.
I was proud to lose to Aaron this week, and we talked, Aaron, yesterday. I don't know if you've been listening, but you should, and you should also like and subscribe. But we talked about how DJ Moore is going to be a superstar in this league, and he definitely showed that this week. He dominated that last series. Talk about like what you were doing. You said you were doing something else, and all of a sudden you came back, and DJ Moore was like, he had like 20 points.
Yeah, I checked it in before I left work. I packed it in. And
Yeah.
not that I follow the shit sleeper that tells you if you're going to win or not.
Oh,
but
yeah,
it was
don't do
looking
that.
Solid.
If I'd be undefeated if that were the case.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I think you texted me 2 or 3 times on my way home, so I knew something was up. By the time I got home, I was a happy guy.
Yeah, I chastised you for beating me the first time because you got lucky, but you just straight up beat me this time, so I really can't. I really can't. I've given up all hope in that league. I'm on to the dynasty and tag team leagues. I'm focusing all my efforts on that. So let me ask you a question while I've got you. I offered John a proposal in the dynasty league, and you tell me what you think of this. You tell me if he should do this.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
I want DeAndre Hopkins,
Yeah.
and I want him badly. And I offered John it gets better as I go on here. So Darius Geis,
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett, and Lamar Jackson. And John has like John has 50 quarterbacks, but they all suck. So Lamar Jackson, Tyler Lockett, and Darius Geis for DeAndre Hopkins. Would you do that?
I mean, Lockett kind of dead right now, but I don't know what he did to his leg, but he's in the hospital.
Well, they said it. Didn't we say during the news that
Yeah, he's actually going to be fine.
he's going to be fine? Yeah,
Okay. I mean, Lamar Jackson.
he good.
He's good. He's very good. He's not somebody I ever would have had my eye on to start the year, but he's turned out to be quite the guy. My only reservation with him is if people figure him out, and the one big injury he might get is at the end of him.
Well, the greatest defense of all time, the New England Patriots defense, couldn't figure him out. So
This is very true.
Just
I
ask-
would probably take it, but that's me.
there you go, John. There you go.
Show's not over yet.
All right. So congratulations on beating me.
Thank you. Thank you. I was 3 for 3 this week, so I'll
Yep.
take it.
Yeah. So was Jake. I've done that a few times this year, which is surprising because the keeper league's just been a tough one for me. I hope that your entire team gets injured this week, though.
I likely will.
So you're not getting off light here.
It's starting to stack up with Thielen, Cooks, Devonta Freeman. There's a lot of outs next week if you include Austin Hooper too. So
Yeah.
I got 4 that fell in the last 2 weeks.
Please show GTL how to make lineup adjustments.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
He's your protege.
Call him into the office if you have to.
Yes. Give him a coaching memo. All right, bro.
My tag party doesn't mean I'm going to help him.
I know. Oh, clearly he's incapable without you, so you might want to work on that. But thanks for being a good sport while we call you randomly. Thank you for answering the urgent message that I sent to you.
I finished my dental appointment as fast as I could.
Were you like? Did you look at the dentist and say you need to wrap this up?
Well, no, but my watch was vibrating heavily, and I was trying to figure out what was going on.
Who was the dentist on Seinfeld? Do you remember? Tim Watley. Tim Watley.
Yep.
All right. Have fun, dude.
You too. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, fantasy phone a friend.
Okay.
A success for the second week in a row here. What you got something on your mind?
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go about Odell.
Oh, okay. Did I let
subject.
you talk about Odell?
No, you did not.
All right, Chicago Bears, y'all.
Odell Beckham to the Patriots.
Oh God.
Odell Beckham to the Patriots. Why not, Mr. Brady? Finish off.
Because every head case receiver they ever get never works out.
No, this one will.
I have a better receiver.
Tom Brady's son is his favorite player is Odell Beckham. Beckham worships Brady, and why not make it the last year of his career, which I think it is, and the next year is the last year of his career. If he doesn't win it this year, it'll be a Brady to Beckham connection, and they will rock it. So Beckham is going to the Pats in my books.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Well, wait and see.
We'll see about that. I don't know. I don't think Brady's going to be there. So, I got Brady in there.
Yeah, so I'm going to get some mixed takes.
And by the way, Brady lives in L.A. as well. He's from L.A. He's an L.A. kid.
Well, who likes the winters here? But he does ski. So don't forget that.
You can go right up to Portland, Oregon. Don't they have ski resorts up there? Just shoot right up.
Yeah, Colorado's up there.
He'd probably get his own private jet. Anyway, enough about Brady. Let's talk about another quarterback. The Camazon, as I like to call him, Cam Newton. I really don't think he's going to be in Carolina next year, John. I am reading the tea leaves. I do not think he stays in Carolina. And frankly, I'm not so sure he wants to. I don't know. He's going to be highly sought after. So when I thought about Cam Newton, I thought about teams that have a big need at quarterback. And there is a team that, as far back as I can remember, has never had a good franchise quarterback. They've got good players. They've got two excellent receivers who are uber talented, but unfortunately the Marcus Mariotas and the Ryan Tannehills of the world haven't been able to get much out of those guys. I look at the Tennessee Titans as a great landing spot for Cam Newton. If you look at what he's done with Curtis Samuel, if you look at what he's done with DJ Moore, he would be so beneficial to the careers of A.J. Brown and of Corey Davis. Two guys that are elite level talents, but who's going to throw to him, right? I think Cam Newton could throw to him, and I think the Tennessee Titans would be a big-time contender with Cam Newton under center. But, of course, they'd need to find a running back because I got him in New York. But I think Cam Newton of the Tennessee Titans is a real possibility.
I get kind of that. Well, it's kind of that situation in a way, developing young wide receivers. I have Mr. Cam Newton going to the Bears.
And that's where a lot of people think he's going.
I think he might go to the Bears. I just think he'd be a good fit there. A young running back that he can develop. Young receivers there as well. Allen Robinson will basically play the veteran receiver, but at the same time as a coach, kind of basically like Greg Olsen plays for the receivers in Carolina. But I think Cam Newton would be a good fit there. He has a good defense to back him up just in case he makes bad throws or picks. They have the defense to help even if he makes mistakes to stay in this game. But Newton's very competitive, and I think it would actually help somebody like Amani because the dump-off pass is almost like a Christian McCaffrey kind of type. But yeah. I'd like to see him go with the Bears because I think Monty Burns could just go nuts here with him because teams will target Newton either way, throwing or running, which just opens up Monty more. But that's me, so we'll move on to Mr. A.J. Green.
All right, A.J. Green. I'll let you kick this one off.
A.J. Green is going to go to this team because the one thing they have lacked is a true wide receiver 2 this year. We've seen it.
Wide receiver 2 or 1?
Wide receiver 2.
Okay.
No wide receiver here really stepped up when the wide receiver 1 was out. You know where I'm going with this?
Yes. Probably. I don't know. Keep going.
I think A.J. Green's getting older. I don't see him being the flanker, X-receiver, deep threat. I see him being more a possession receiver. Not saying going to a slot receiver, but more a possession receiver kind of role. And let his partner, DA, the district attorney, Devontae Adams, do all the work. But Green Bay would be a great fit for him because he would take a lot of pressure off Devontae, and they would have to truly have a number 2 here and have a great quarterback throwing to him. It would give Rodgers another weapon, but I think A.J. Green in Green Bay makes total sense.
Green Bay? Yeah, that's a good fit. That's an interesting one. I like that.
Think about it. Devontae Allison did not do it.
Nobody.
MBS did not do it. Lazard is the number 2 now, but that's the thing. There's been no true number 2 there.
Yep.
So
and he could win there.
And I'm saying, I'm not expecting Green to be.
I mean, they don't throw the ball on the goal line anymore, so he won't get any touchdowns.
But here, an AJ Green, if he's more that possession receiver, that change downs receiver,
that's a good call.
Takes a lot of pressure off Devontae. Devontae stretches the field. This could be a scary team with Green on it, I think.
So I looked at AJ Green, and I think he wants to go to a team that he thinks he can win, and I do not think it will be Cincinnati. I look at AJ as still a wide receiver 1 guy. Problem is he's just not always healthy. There's a team that I think is a wide receiver 1 away from being maybe even a Super Bowl winner. And they've struggled to find somebody to fit that role. We probably could consider AJ Green a wide receiver 2 if he were to go to this team as well. I think the San Francisco 49ers really need to beef up their wide receiver core. I don't think Deebo Samuel, I think he's going to be a superstar in this league. I think he's a third-year breakout guy.
You think he's he needs to develop just a hair more.
Yeah. I think they want to contend for a Super Bowl. I think they've got a good core of running backs that they can rotate in and out. They've got an excellent tight end. And if they could pair Emmanuel Sanders it would almost be Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas type of a pair up, like there was in Denver. Sanders has proven that he's still got chops. AJ Green wants to win. I think San Francisco would be a great fit, and I think he'd be the missing piece for that offense, John. So AJ Green, I say San Francisco, you say Green Bay. Yep. 2 similar situations. All right, let's move on to Devontae Parker. Kind of a lesser free agent. I guess he's not in that top tier. I don't think he would be. I also don't think he's going to end up in Miami. It's possible because I think he's really proven himself this year and he's finally broken out.
He's the number 1 but not getting credit.
Right, but I think he's going to go to the highest bidder. And that may or may not be Miami, but I don't want him to go there because they're boring and Miami's never going to be any good. There is a team, though, that has traditionally always had 2 really good wide receivers, and they don't have that anymore. Deontay Johnson ain't the one. Right? Would you agree with that?
No, that's actually a good take. I didn't even think about them in this aspect.
James Washington ain't the one. Juju Smith-Schuster is an excellent number 1 receiver. I think they tried to do it with a cheap guy like Dante Moncrief this year. Didn't work out. I think Devontae Parker would be an excellent fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Put him on the other side. Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Parker, would be an excellent team, an excellent wide receiver duo, helps Big Ben. He's at the end of his career. He doesn't have a lot of opportunities left. They got James Conner's a solid running back. I think he'd be a great fit, John, for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's actually one I did not even think of, but that actually makes a lot of sense because they almost give you the tandem of
It's like, haven't they've always had the Hines Ward and Santonio Holmes.
They've always had
Holmes
2 burners, 2 big names.
Exactly.
They haven't had it, so it's almost like bringing back Antonio Brown and Juju basically, but Parker and Juju. That's not a bad call at all. Actually, it's an area, a team that does make a lot of sense. Another one for me. They don't have that burner just yet because they're so young, but they do have that slot possession receiver, and Parker's more that X-receiver flanker who can stretch that field. I've seen him going to San Fran.
Interesting.
Jimmy gives Jimmy G that long threat weapon.
So you think they pair Sanders with him?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's a cheap buy, too. It seems like something Mr. Lynch would do. They would give him enough money, but not to the point where they're dishing out the credit card for $20 million a year. But you know what I'm saying? He'll get paid handsomely here, way more than he's making in Miami. But change of scenery for him. It's a winning team. I think it's a good fit because Sanders is. Let's be honest. Sanders is not your stretch of field. He can do it, but he's getting older. He's more your possession type. Slot receiver, does very well in the slot. And Parker is that deep threat X receiver. You just need that 40, 50-yard bomb, but can also catch it across the middle and all that. But Parker would be a good fit here, I think. I really do.
I agree with you.
Speaking of deep threat, the next guy up.
Yeah, so speaking of deep threat, Robbie Anderson is a deep threat. He's a really super talented guy. Sam Darnold just isn't good enough to target his number 1 receiver, apparently, because it just doesn't happen. And again, whenever I look at guys like this, I look at guys like Robbie Anderson has played on the Jets. He probably wants to go to a contender. And there's a team that has one excellent receiver and a bunch of ham and eggers. Michael Thomas is really, really good. But everybody else, and we tried to start Ted Ginn this week. And, everybody's kind of been hung up on Traquan Smith and all that. But they're just not that good. They're not on the level of a guy like Robbie Anderson. I think Robbie Anderson perfectly fits what the number 2 receiver in New Orleans has always been all about.
It's basically like getting 10 years before.
Yep. It really is.
Really
but a better player. And I think Drew Brees would love to have him out there. Robbie Anderson and Michael Thomas would be an electric receiver duo. Plus you got Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray. Brees wants to win. I think he's realized the last couple of seasons, I don't have a strong number 2. Get me a guy like Robbie Anderson, and I will take you to the Super Bowl. And I think that is a strong possibility if they could get their hands on Robbie. I'd love to see him in New Orleans.
Okay. I have Robbie Anderson going to Dallas.
I was thinking that, and I've thought that all year, John, but like Michael Gallup's just on the rise. You know?
Michael Gallup's amazing. The only thing that scares me, though, who are they going to pay? Are they going to pay Dak or are they going to pay Amari? I don't know why my gut keeps telling me they're going to pay Dak and not Amari.
I think you're wrong on that.
I could be wrong, but that's why I'm choosing Robbie Anderson to Dallas, because I think they're going to pay Dak. They're not going to pay Amari.
Solid thought process.
Amari's going to walk, and Robbie Anderson will be a cheap signing, especially after this year. The numbers he's putting up.
I know.
He will sign for dirt cheap. Michael Gallup will become the number 1. Robbie Anderson will be the number 2.
Yeah.
It's a perfect fit. It saves Jerry Jones a ton of money, because right now, Robbie Anderson is not going to be paid barely anything for his numbers. And he's in a contract. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's in a contract year, so he's not going to get anything for this performance.
So we both think he's not on the Jets.
No, he will not be on the Jets.
I say the Saints. You say the Cowboys.
Yep.
All right, moving on to Le'Veon Bell. He is under contract with the New York Jets for a few years, but I think that again they are realizing they need to rebuild completely, and I think they're going to start from scratch, similar to what Miami has done this year. They have a lot of time left with Sam Darnold, so they're in a good spot to do that. Le'Veon Bell, I think, is going to get cut. I think they're going to try to trade him. I don't think they're going to get any buyers on that contract, and I think he's going to get cut, which will make him a free agent. And I mentioned where A.J. Green was going to go. And I mentioned that the San Francisco 49ers have a solid backfield of guys they can rotate in and rotate out, but I didn't want to spoil my pick of where Le'Veon Bell should go. This team has an opportunity to be a Super Bowl contender. I've already added A.J. Green to San Francisco in my fantasy GM mind here, and I'm throwing Le'Veon Bell over there as well. Can you imagine if they added Le'Veon Bell, A.J. Green, they have George Kittle, they have Emmanuel Sanders, who could stop that offense? And I think they could do it with the cap situation that they're in. And they got a great defense. Le'Veon Bell, I think, would be a great fit for San Francisco.
That's actually a good, interesting take, is Le'Veon Bell.
And they were interested in him last year.
Le'Veon Bell fits the whole Shanahan running back system.
Exactly. And they were a front runner for him.
He would actually be utilized very well here. Better than my pick I'm picking.
And I think they could get him cheaper than they did last year.
Yes. I think
that they would have done.
Yeah. It's actually, that's a really good fit. Shanahan tailor his running backs, and he could still deploy too, but Bell would be the focus here. And let's be honest, Breida hasn't been a disappointment, but he's been a disappointment in terms of injury. He can't stay healthy. The talent's there, but I can see definitely Tevin Coleman being the number 2 here, or 1B they call it. And McKinnon would be released because there's 2 years now he's been on IR.
Yeah, I think McKinnon's getting cut. Yeah. Coleman might stick around, but I just think they should hit the reset button at that position. Coleman is not a
That's
number
their weak
one.
spot right now.
Yeah.
So
they've spent
it
too much money on McKinnon. They spent too much money on Coleman. If you're going to spend that kind of money, you might as well do it with an elite back. And I think their offensive line is more tailor-made for Le'Veon Bell's style.
And another spot I think Le'Veon Bell could go is Indy. Marlon Mack is one-dimensional.
That was another team that was talked about.
He's a pure one. He's a downhill runner. He just runs between tackles. He does not catch the ball. We all have noticed. Le'Veon Bell going to an Indy, you could sit there and get rid of half the running backs they have because they're all the same. They don't really do that much. Bell would give them the complete package of receiving everything. So I think that would be a great fit.
Absolutely. I agree with you, but I'd like to see him in San Fran.
San Fran's an interesting take, especially with Shanahan coaching there. So, next up, where do you have Mr. Melvin Gordon going?
So, I just want to build super teams, and sometimes I don't factor in the salary cap, but I think they might be able to make it work. But there's a team that I think is one really good running back away from being a Super Bowl contender.
I bet you it's the same team we have. So.
I think if they had this guy, they would eclipse possibly Kansas City and New England as the top dog team.
I think it's the same
as
team.
The top
I
dog
think we've
team
talked
in the
about
AFC.
this before.
I would love to see Melvin Gordon headed to Houston.
Wow, we nailed it.
Did we?
Look, I got Houston too.
I think that'd be a great fit for him.
I think they
And who could stop that offense if he was there?
They
Honestly.
couldn't.
They were rumored. The other reason I kind of went with him, they were rumored to be interested in him in trade talks as well.
He wants to play for a competitive team. I'm not saying LA's not. They're not competitive this year, but this team, their defense always manages to do decent. They're not awful, but you know what I'm saying. Their offense, though, they're just one position away. And let's be honest, Will Fuller cannot be counted as a full-time guy. Kenny Stills is the same thing. But
do we really want to goof around with Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson? I mean, they're clearly not believers in Duke Johnson. Carlos Hyde is trash.
Carlos Hyde is a free agent after this year anyway.
Yeah.
It was a quick sign.
If they got Melvin Gordon, John, this offense would be reminiscent of the greatest show on turf, the the St. Louis Rams back in the day.
Yeah, in this system, he's got receivers to take the pressure off of him.
He can catch the ball out of the backfield. So he's Duke Johnson and Carlos Hyde and Lamar Miller all meshed into one, but better. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Houston Texans, I love it.
We both nailed it. That was an easy one to do. Next,
we want to take a video break?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's take a video break. Podcast listeners won't notice the difference, but we're going to take a break on video.
Next up, Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Where you got him, John?
I have Kareem Hunt going to the Denver Broncos.
Okay. That's surprising with Philip Lindsay there, Royce Freeman.
Broncos have not had a three-down back in a while. Kareem Hunt is a three-down back. And I think he'll want to out of Cleveland just because Cleveland only signed him, let's be honest. The suspension, Kansas City cut him. He basically got signed, someone took a chance on him. I think Hunt, if he's smart and stays out of trouble here, I think he signs with Denver. Philip Lindsay is not your three-down back, and Royce Freeman has been known to be injury-prone so far. So I think they're just going to go with stability here, and Kareem Hunt really does not get hurt.
I totally disagree with you on that.
I know you do.
Spot.
That's why I told you. You try to say, go ahead.
There's a team that needs, you want to talk about needing an every down back? I don't think they've had one since Warwick Dunn. I mean,
I already know. Yeah, but I got someone else going there and cheap.
I just don't understand why they just keep just trying out, testing out the waters with the Cadillac Williams of the world, the Doug Martin. Doug Martin was okay there for a little bit, but really still not a really true lead back that's an elite level talent. Kareem Hunt is that guy, and Tampa Bay is that team. I would love to see Tampa Bay go after Kareem Hunt, and I think they're kind of kicking themselves for not buying low on him in the offseason. Cleveland came in and swooped him up. Tampa Bay would be, I mean, can you imagine Kareem Hunt, who I think would be I don't think he'd have a huge price tag given his history.
No.
Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. I mean, this O.J. Howard, if they actually had any brains. I think Bruce Arians is realizing that, man, it was really cool when I had DJ over in Arizona. I had David Johnson. And now this ain't cool. Ronald Jones ain't cool. Peyton Barber ain't cool. Kareem Hunt fits that David Johnson mold. I think he'd be a great fit for Tampa Bay. I'd be excited to see that. I think he would flourish there.
Okay.
All right, moving on to Kenyon Drake, which I think you might have spoiled it for yourself, but I mentioned that where I thought Mr. Tom Brady was going to go, and I also mentioned that Mr. Melvin Gordon might leave there, and I think a nice replacement for Melvin Gordon, a guy that's starting to prove that he is a legit lead back and a great pass catching back. Kenyon Drake to the LA Chargers with Tom Brady, with Keenan Allen, with Hunter Henry, with Mike Williams. Tom Brady's got himself a championship level offense there. I think he'd be a great fit for LA, and I don't think they'd be able to afford a really big name guy like a Le'Veon Bell or a Melvin Gordon. I think Kenyon Drake would be a great fit for those guys.
I got Kenyon Drake going to Tampa. I think
Okay.
Tampa's going to have too much to pay for with Evans and Godwin. A lot of pieces. They're
Yeah, I'm not writing the check, so it's easy for me.
No. I'm just thinking financially too, because
Yeah.
Tampa just got rid of Vernon Hargraves, is his name.
They did. He was
Their
a
corner.
first-round pick,
First
right?
round pick, they cut him. They're going to have to aggressively shop in the offseason to fix their secondary. Their run D's great. Their front seven's great.
Yeah.
But their corners, they have to pay big bucks, and they're going to have to go cheap in the other positions. So
So I
that's
think
why-
they can draft those positions. I really do.
Yeah, it's scary. Those are so hit or miss year from year. To have somebody, a corner, be a solidified corner nowadays.
But I like your style with this.
Yeah. No, I think Kenyon Drake would be a great fit in Tampa, especially with Bruce Arians.
And he can catch.
Yes, he can catch. So
Yeah.
this is a perfect spot.
So we both think he's moving away from Arizona.
Yeah. I think David Johnson regains the role there. I think David Johnson's just having an off season. Injuries aren't helping him, but I think Drake is just insurance for David Johnson this year in that
Right.
team.
Yep.
But
I think they knew a little bit more about his injury than they let on.
yeah, I think my next one's gonna shock you.
I think my next one's going to shock you, my man.
Okay.
Now, I wasn't ready to give you AJ Green, or I wasn't ready to give you any of these big name wide receivers. I wasn't ready to give you Odell Beckham. But I'm going to tell you something right now. A rookie quarterback needs a really reliable stud wide receiver that's going to go play ball. Rookie quarterbacks don't want Odell Beckham Jr. on their team. I think Baker Mayfield would attest to that. I think New England's going to draft a rookie quarterback next year after Tom Brady departs. I think Stephon Diggs would be an excellent fit for the New England Patriots, especially in a rebuilding
Oh, you
offense.
actually have someone going to the Pats.
I do, and I think Stephon Diggs would be a great fit to play for Coach Belichick. He and Edelman would be. I mean, how do you defend Edelman and Diggs? It's just you can't. It's very difficult, and it's not Jarrett Stidham, by the way. I think New England could make some moves in the draft to move up and select the quarterback of the future, because I don't think they're going to have a choice this year. And they need to build around. They can't have Philip Dorsett anymore. They need to really build around.
You know who looks really good, and I don't know if you've watched any of college football.
N'Keal Harry.
No, college football.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Joe Burrow for LSU.
And I think that's the type of guy they could go after.
Okay, to go against one of the top defenses in college football for I don't know how many of the past years, Joe Burrow owned Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, he owned them. Like,
Yeah.
he missed like 7
And
passes.
so think about that. A guy like that, N'Keal Harry, Julian Edelman, and Stephon Diggs. That's how you build a team for a rookie quarterback.
Oh, speaking of a team needing depth, this team's going to lose a lot because it's got a lot of oldies but goldies.
And by the way, I think this obviously would be a trade because Stephon Diggs is not on a contract.
No,
here.
and I think
New England was really kicking the tires on Diggs before the trade deadline this year. So that's kind of where I'm basing him moving away from Minnesota. I think they realize that they don't need two. They can go with one receiver
and
that's
spread the wealth.
exactly.
I think Diggs is going to go to Washington.
So who have you got? Well, you got Phillip Rivers and Diggs there. Huh?
Yeah.
You really want Washington to do well, don't you?
I'm not even a Washington fan. I just think
Diggs.
I think Washington.
I think Washington was interested in him as well.
I wasn't. I was just based on this.
So Diggs, McLovin,
They're
and Phillip
going to
Rivers.
lose Adrian Peterson because I think he will retire. I think he'll finally retire. Vernon Davis will retire. Jordan Reed will retire. Now look at, is Paul Richardson good? No. Is Trey Quinn? Not really. So they need another elite.
So
depth.
Trey Quinn would be a great wide receiver 3. So you think Phillip Rivers is going to bridge the gap, for Dwayne Haskins because he's clearly not ready, in that they're going to go after a guy like Diggs and pair him with Terry McLovin.
McLovin, okay. McLovin to me, I'm not saying he can't stretch the field, but he is more. Diggs is more your stretch the field guy, bomb threat. I think McLovin is a mix of that. He can pretty much do everything, but McLovin needs a compliment, and that compliment is going to be Diggs. And I think, McLovin's not even pulsed yet. He's a wide receiver rookie.
No, and he's already.
And now you have a
proven to be
Diggs
really
go
good.
there. Diggs will have a great spot here as long as he's got Rivers for a quarterback. But they're going to have to rebuild because they're not going to have a tight end, a good tight end, I should say, unless they go to the draft. But they need the weapons, and this is going to be a young team because Darius Guice, except for Rivers, if he goes there.
Yeah.
So
That was a fun episode.
that was a fun episode.
I love these Wednesday episodes. We can kind of loosen up a little bit more. We don't have to stick right to a script and stuff like that. So this is pretty fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I love playing Fantasy GM as well. So tomorrow we'll get back to you. We'll get back to the normal routine. We'll talk about what we can expect from Week 11. And until then, that's it for today. Thanks again for listening to the Working Class Podcast, the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. We are the Blue Collar Ballers, John and DJ. Please like, subscribe, share on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, the whole 9 yards. Please. That's a huge help, guys. Like, subscribe, and share what we throw out there on Twitter and Facebook. And I think we need to step up our Insta game as well, John, because I hear that's where all the kids are.
So
right?
like, listen, and share. Why? Because sharing is caring. If you didn't see me post that today.
This is very true. Until next time, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you guys soon.